When Cooper Webb was with KTM, he was a bit of a villain the way he treated Marvin Muscan. There was a couple times where he ran Marv off the track.
I mean, you know, I think that's just rough racing. I think Cooper just got this villain thing because he's just very quiet, very to himself, no excuses, no jokes. No over talking, almost like a Kimi Räikkönen, you know what I mean? But I think he got more of that. But then people have really jumped on his hero train from the effort and the consistency and just, you know, always being there, always coming back, you know, being that guy. So he's kind of changed that villain, quiet guy into a hero just by his actions on the track.
So with talking, it's interesting because when Ken Roczen was with Honda, Ken never talked. Ken did not put out any sort of personality whatsoever. But yet, recently, he's like come out of his shell. I mean, he's doing freestyle riding. He's riding for fun. What he's done with the Suzuki platform. He's really built, like, by himself, the platform of Suzuki back. It's become something.
Yeah, I think with Honda, it's just such a political company. It's a huge company. And so it kind of like, you know, you ride for Red Bull, you know, you got to kind of be this way. You drive for Ferrari, let's say, you get capped. And so with Honda, same thing. You got to watch your P's and Q's. Suzuki has more freedom. With the team that he's on, not just say Suzuki, it's just the team that he's on has more freedom. It's privateer stuff, but it's factory parts. And he has more freedom to be himself, more freedom to do the things that he wants to do. But also, you know, once you get older, you start coming out of your cage a little bit and are able to articulate yourself. You're able to explain yourself. You're also more kind of comfortable talking, I guess, right? And so that's kind of maybe what's happening with Ken is that he's just getting more mature, and also he has the freedom to do what he wants to do on that team.
Another rider that I like to talk to occasionally and I'm sort of personal with is Carson Brown. The Ken Roczen, Carson Brown, let's go out on RM80s and race in Florida. I thought that was a great PR move, especially for Ken, because he is known to be a bit of a villain when it comes to his personality, and all of a sudden he's opening up more and you're seeing that sense of humor come out of him, which we never saw before.
And that's getting comfortable with yourself, getting older, more mature, and again, also not having maybe so much scrutiny above him because of the company that he's riding for or not riding for.
I wanted to ask you some questions with regards to European moto riding versus American moto outdoor riding and the training between the two. What have you seen as a difference between the European riders like Jorge Prado? When he comes over, what's his training schedule in difference to somebody like an Eli Tomac or a Jet Lawrence?
I mean, everybody might have their own little specific things that they do differently, but training's training, you know? Everybody rides their motorcycle and does motos, sprints, technique. Everybody goes to the gym and gets stronger. Everybody rides a bicycle or runs for cardio. Done. But just, you know, what else are you gonna do? Some do yoga, some this, some swim. You know, how you're eating when you're going to bed. You know, these things can vary a little bit. The thing that's different is how they ride the motorcycle. That's the only difference. It's not training-wise. You're not gonna invent some new training. You might do something different. But in Europe, they might not have to train as much during the week because they have more riding on the weekend. Where in America, you train maybe more during the week because a race day is so short. But the approach on the motorcycles where it's different. Like in Europe, they don't have Supercross. So when you don't have Supercross, well then you have a style that's more patient, much more traction, much more high gear, opening lines up, no clutch type of thing, just keeping that momentum and power to the ground, high gear. But when you come from Supercross makes you very aggressive. So now that aggressiveness is gonna come out into the nationals, to the outdoors. So that's what you're gonna see is like, let's say Prado is gonna be smooth, barely hear his bike, but then Eli's just gonna be clutching it and ripping it. Maybe even same with the rest of the guys on there. But also you're gonna have Jet riding very smooth and clean, but he came from Europe. But he carries that style of riding into Supercross also. I just feel that it's Supercross that's creating more of an intensity in the rider. And then when they go outdoors, there's that clutch, there's that rev, there's that high, that super aggressive, more body English type of thing. And it's just because of what Supercross produces in you. If you train fast, you're gonna become fast. You train slow, you're gonna become slow. It doesn't matter what you do. It's just the body starts getting used to what's happening consistently. And so with these guys riding Supercross most of the time of the year, and then jumping into nationals, that aggressiveness is gonna stick. And then, but European riders are riding sand, mud, you know, rough tracks in the off season so much that doesn't call for someone being super aggressive. calls for traction, momentum, patience. And then that's where you see that difference.
Why the European riders so dominant in outdoor?
I wouldn't say they're dominant, you know what I mean? It's just we go into the nations and they've been dominant when the tracks are muddy or sandy. But, you know, America won not so long ago. America's always won, you know, 1, 2, 3 in the areas. And then this year, you know, what, Australia won, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but where are those guys racing? America. You can't call anybody who's been over to America for 4 years a European anymore.
No.
He was born in Europe, but now he's been racing in America for 4 or 5 years, so you have adopted that style. Same thing if an American went over to Europe, you can call him American, but after a while, he shouldn't adopt a style that's more European-based. So again, the guys who won the nations this year are riding nationals, they're riding Supercross, they're riding in America. And so, you know, that's that. But, you know, I feel if they had all the top guys racing 3 or 4 nationals, all the top guys in the world racing at 3 or 4 GPs, it really would equal out. You know, I don't feel anybody around the world is faster than the next guy. It's how can you be that much faster than being the best in the world? You know, the best in the world are here in America. The best in the world are there in Europe. It's such a small gap. Back in the days, maybe the gap was bigger because we had so much more technical tracks, Supercross, that had elevated the rider. But now in Europe, you know, their tracks are a lot more technical, jumps, this and that. They have Supercross things. So, and the European riders' techniques are better now. So they're going to bring that gap in. Now, if it gets muddy or sandy, well, then the European is definitely going to have more potential to win, just because they have more time riding it.